Everyone in the auto shop laughed when 13-year-old Sierra Maddox, a mechanic's daughter in torn jeans, walked in. The boss, a sharp-suited man named Mr. Callister, dared her to fix an engine even his best team could not figure out. Cameras rolled, expecting her to fail. But the moment she lifted the hood, her eyes narrowed, and what she said next made every adult in the room freeze. No one was prepared for what she revealed that day. Before we start, like this video and comment where you're watching from. Your support helps us bring more powerful stories. Now let's begin. The sun was barely up when Sierra Maddox tugged her oversized hoodie over her head and stepped into Maddox Auto Repairs, the garage her father had run for over 20 years. Her sneakers were worn, her hands already stained from helping her father that morning. She was not supposed to be there. Today was for the professionals. Big-time executives from Wilcor Motors had scheduled an official visit, and her father had warned her to stay home. But Sierra had a feeling. Something deep inside told her she needed to be there. The sleek black SUV rolled up exactly at 8 a.m. Out stepped Mr. Callister, polished shoes, expensive suit, sunglasses still on despite the shade of the garage. Everyone in the shop paused. No one spoke. He was not just a boss. He was Wilcor Motors' legendary fixer, the man who showed up when something could not be solved by ordinary hands. He gave orders that even regional managers jumped to obey. And today he had brought along an unsolvable engine from a prototype vehicle, the kind that was not even released to the public yet. Callister looked around the greasy shop like it was beneath him. His team followed, wheeling in a covered engine block on a platform. When the tarp was pulled away, the mechanics leaned forward, intrigued, then confused. Within minutes, one of them scratched his head. Another reached for tools and tried to begin diagnostics, but the computer blinked with errors. Callister stood with arms folded, his expression unreadable. Sierra watched from the side, unnoticed until her elbow bumped a bucket. The clatter turned every head. Callister's eyes landed on her, narrowed. She froze, expecting to be yelled at, but instead a smirk crossed his face. He asked loudly, "Whose kid is this?" No one answered. "Wait, are you the mechanic's daughter?" he asked again, now walking toward her. She nodded slowly, confused. Callister turned to his team and laughed. "All right, boys, since no one here seems to have a clue, how about we give the little princess a shot? Maybe she has magic hands. What do you say?" His team chuckled. Her father stepped forward, nervous, but Sierra raised her hand gently, signaling him to stop. Something about the way Callister mocked her made her feel calm, almost steady. She walked forward. Every step echoed like a drumbeat. She did not speak. She simply moved to the engine, reached out, and placed her hand on it. The cold metal sent a jolt up her arm, but her eyes locked onto the layout. Her father had taught her to read engines like stories, and this one was screaming. She glanced at the manifold, then at a junction near the fuel injection line. Her brow furrowed. The others stared, expecting her to touch the wrong part or give up. But Sierra did something no one expected. She spoke. "This engine is not broken. It is programmed to pretend it is." Everyone stiffened. Callister's smile dropped. Her father's jaw opened slightly. Sierra's voice was calm, certain. "The error codes are looped. Someone built this engine to fail diagnostics." Silence. Callister stepped closer, his voice suddenly sharp. "Who told you that?" Sierra slowly looked up at him and replied, "No one." She paused, then added, "But whoever made this wants you chasing problems that are not real." Every person in that room had gone completely still. No one knew how to react. Sierra was not just making a guess. She had diagnosed in 30 seconds what professionals could not figure out in 3 hours. And what she was about to reveal next would turn the entire garage upside down. For a full 5 seconds, the garage remained suspended in silence. Not even the buzzing fluorescent lights dared to hum. Mr. Callister's eyes pierced into Sierra's, not with curiosity, but with something colder. Disbelief masked as authority. He stepped closer, just inches from her face. His voice dipped in calculated threat. "You are suggesting that my engineers made a deliberate error?" he asked slowly. Sierra did not blink. She did not flinch. "Not your engineers," she said softly. "Someone higher." Her voice was even, but inside her heart was pounding like a war drum. She had no official proof, only instinct, experience, and the kind of understanding that came from growing up under the hood of cars instead of under chandeliers. Callister's team shuffled uncomfortably. One technician named Marvin, a tall man in his 50s with tired eyes and grease stains on his collar, finally spoke up. Sir, I did notice that the diagnostics kept looping the same failure code, even after resets. It was odd, but I assumed the system was glitched. Callister shot him a look that shut him up instantly. Sierra walked over to the diagnostic tablet, tapped through a few menus, then held it up so everyone could see. There. This loop repeats every 91 seconds. It is not a glitch. It is a mask. The real issue is hidden underneath it. She pressed a sequence of commands that bypassed the main interface, something only an insider would know. Within seconds, a second layer of diagnostic data appeared, and a red alert flashed. Internal sabotage detected. Error source traced to firmware injection. Access granted from Wilcor HQ. Gasps filled the garage. Her father, who had remained frozen the entire time, took a step forward. Sierra, where did you learn to do that? Sierra looked at him, her voice trembling now for the first time. I reverse engineered their diagnostic app last summer. I wanted to know how it actually worked, not just what it showed. Mr. Callister turned ghostly pale. He reached out and snatched the tablet from her hands, staring at the screen like it was a loaded weapon. His voice, once smooth and smug, now cracked with something dangerously close to fear. You need to leave, now. But it was too late. From the back of the shop, a younger man in a gray Wilcor Motors polo shirt had already taken out his phone and was recording. The screen clearly showed the flashing sabotage alert, Sierra's face, and Callister's shaken reaction. The man whispered under his breath, "This is going viral." Sierra's father tried to de-escalate. "Let us not make this worse, all right? There must be an explanation." But Sierra took a deep breath and turned to face everyone. Her voice carried now, not just calm, but commanding. There is no explanation that fixes this. Whoever did this tried to cover up a critical flaw and hoped none of you would be smart enough to find it. I was not supposed to be here today, remember? That was not an accident. The Wilcor staff looked at each other, their trust in leadership shaken, their belief in the system crumbling. Callister suddenly looked much smaller, despite his tailored suit. And then the front garage doors slid open. A woman in a navy pantsuit and heels walked in, flanked by two men in security jackets. Her badge read, Federal Transportation Safety Commission. Without missing a beat, she said, "We received an anonymous tip about a compromised prototype and falsified engine data. Where is the unit?" All eyes turned to Sierra. She simply pointed at the engine, then at the man who had dared her to touch it. Callister tried to speak, but nothing came out. The woman walked directly over to Sierra and asked, "Who uncovered it?" Sierra hesitated. Everyone watched. She replied, "I did." What happened next would change her life forever. For a moment, the entire garage felt like it had stopped breathing. Sierra's declaration echoed in the air like a lightning strike in the dead of night. The federal agent looked at her with a raised brow, not in disbelief, but with a flicker of unexpected respect. She turned to the two security men behind her and nodded. "Secure the unit. Copy all data from the system. Nobody leaves." Chaos began to quietly ripple through the garage. Phones buzzed in trembling hands. Marvin stepped back, his mouth slightly open, whispering to another technician, "This girl just tore the entire roof off the Empire." Mr. Callister, now visibly sweating, took a step forward, trying to regain control. "There is some misunderstanding. She is not a part of this company. Her access to our systems was unauthorized. This is a security breach. I want her removed immediately." But the agent's response came without even looking at him. "Unauthorized or not, she is the only reason we know about this. You should thank her." Callister opened his mouth again, but then stopped. His jaw clenched. His eyes flicked towards Sierra with something dark in them, fear mixed with quiet hatred. Sierra felt it. She had exposed something enormous, something powerful, and she had done it without even intending to. Her hands trembled slightly, not from fear, but from the weight of what was happening. She had not just pointed out a bug in the system, she had exposed a rotting nerve in one of the largest tech engineering giants in the country. Her father walked slowly toward her, his voice hushed but urgent. "Sierra, you have no idea what you just did. They will not forget this." "I do not want them to forget," she whispered. "I want them to change." Outside, a black SUV pulled up. The doors opened swiftly and out stepped a sharply dressed man in a dark blue coat, flanked by two more federal agents. His hair was silver, his eyes piercing. He carried the air of someone who did not answer to anyone. The garage grew silent again as he approached. "Sierra Monroe?" he asked, his tone neutral. She nodded, trying not to show how fast her heart was racing. "I am Director Hale, Department of Transportation. You uncovered a firmware manipulation pattern that could have led to multiple engine failures at highway speeds. That alone could have caused deaths. You saved lives today." Sierra blinked. I just followed what did not feel right. That makes you more valuable than half the engineers I know." Behind him, one of his agents handed him a tablet. He reviewed something, then looked at Sierra again. "You reverse-engineered the system diagnostics on your own?" She nodded again. He stared at her a moment, then said, "We have been trying to crack Wilcor's firmware signature for 7 months. You just cracked it in less than 2 minutes. I would like to offer you something." Sierra glanced at her father, who looked equally stunned and proud. The director continued, "A federal research internship, full clearance. You would work alongside our top analysts in Washington. You would live on campus. Travel paid. Your education covered." Sierra opened her mouth, but the words would not come. "You are not in trouble," he added, "but you may be in danger. Wilcor will try to bury this. People at the top will want you silenced. This offer, it is also protection." Sierra finally found her voice. "I was not looking for a job. I was just trying to help my dad." "That's exactly why we need you," Hale said. But just as Sierra turned to answer, a voice called out from the back. "She is lying." Everyone turned. Mr. Callister had stepped forward again, this time holding up a printed sheet. "This is her high school transcript. No formal degree, no engineering license. She is nobody. You are letting a kid embarrass our industry over a gut feeling and a hacked app." Sierra stood frozen. For the first time since the confrontation began, doubt flickered in the eyes around her. Director Hale did not even blink. He looked at Callister, then back at Sierra. "Let us test that theory," he said. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a sealed envelope. "This is a firmware encryption puzzle we have been trying to break for 2 years. Solve it. Right now." And the room went silent again. The envelope landed on the table with a soft thud, but the tension in the room could have shattered glass. Sierra looked down at it, then slowly picked it up. The weight of every eye in the garage pressed on her shoulders. Agents, engineers, security guards, and even the man who had spent years trying to discredit her. She could feel her pulse in her throat. This was not just about proving herself. This was survival. She carefully slid the paper out. It was a printed sequence of numbers and hex codes. Dense, compact, precise. Something that had left federal engineers scratching their heads for 2 years. And now they expected her, a mechanic's daughter with no degree, no title, and no credentials, to solve it while the entire room watched. Director Hale folded his arms. "Take your time, but everything depends on this." Sierra did not speak. She simply pulled out her phone. Not to look anything up. She already knew that would not help. She opened the same diagnostic app she had coded late one night when she could not sleep. It was not fancy, but it was fast. She input the code. Callister scoffed from behind. "This is ridiculous. She is using a phone app. That puzzle crippled high-security computing clusters. You are watching a child play with a toy." Sierra heard him. She ignored him. As the app processed, she traced the logic in her head. The code was not a wall, it was a mirror. It reflected back whatever the viewer expected to see. That was the trap. That was why engineers failed. They assumed it followed traditional logic. But Sierra had never been taught tradition. Her mind had been shaped by puzzles, not textbooks. by curiosity, not rules. Something clicked. She opened the raw hex editor and recompiled a section manually. It was subtle, one line buried deep, that should not have repeated. It created a loop, not an answer. But when she removed it, the entire sequence collapsed into readable output. A long silence followed. Director Hale took the paper, studied the new output Sierra handed him, then turned it around for his team. "That is it," one agent whispered. "That is the seed key. She just solved it." Callister stepped back like the floor had shifted beneath him. His lips parted slightly, but no words came out. He looked stunned, then embarrassed, then angry. Director Hale turned toward him. "You just witnessed a civilian solve a protected-level encryption that your department failed to crack for 2 years. Maybe next time you will think twice before calling someone a nobody." Sierra felt her father's hand touch her shoulder, firm and proud. His eyes were glassy. For a man who had spent his whole life being underestimated, watching his daughter outthink the elite felt like victory. But it was not over. Director Hale looked at Sierra. "You are a national asset now. You may not understand what that means yet, but from this moment forward, you will be protected. Your life is going to change. Fast." Sierra barely nodded, trying to absorb it all. Then her phone buzzed. A new message. It was a number she did not recognize, and there was no name attached. Just a text that read, "You should not have done that." Her eyes widened. She showed the screen to the director. He froze, then took the phone and handed it to one of his agents. "Track it, immediately." "What is going on?" Sierra asked. Hale's voice dropped. "That number is not in any public database. It is not traceable. Whoever sent that is watching us right now." Outside, a delivery truck passed by the garage slowly, too slowly. Sierra caught a glimpse of the driver. Dark sunglasses, headset, no expression. It drove off without stopping. The agent beside Hale radioed out, "We have a possible tail. Activating Security Protocol Alpha. Lock down the block. Now." Sirens blared outside. Garage doors slammed shut. Director Hale looked at Sierra, his voice cold but calm. "You just pulled the thread that may unravel something far bigger than faulty software. You exposed something they would kill to keep hidden." Sierra stared at the doors, then back at the man who had handed her the puzzle. "What happens now?" she asked. He took a deep breath. "Now, they come for you." The lights inside the garage flickered for half a second, but it was enough to make every agent draw their weapon. Director Hale barked orders into his headset while scanning the perimeter. Sierra stood frozen, her heart hammering like a war drum. She had gone from a nobody fixing engines to someone being hunted, and she still had no idea why the puzzle she solved was so dangerous. Hale turned to her with urgency in his voice. "We are moving. Now they have eyes on this location." Her father stepped in front of her. "Where are you taking her?" "To a classified location. It is the only way to keep her alive. Whoever sent that message is connected to a buried program we shut down 5 years ago. Or at least, we thought we shut it down." They rushed through the back of the garage where a sleek black SUV was already waiting. As soon as the doors shut, they were moving. Sierra could barely breathe, every turn of the wheels pushing her deeper into a world she never asked to enter. Hale opened a metal case beside him and pulled out a small tablet. He handed it to her. "You decoded something that was not supposed to exist anymore. A cipher that leads to an off-the-books project known as Sandstorm. Only 8 people knew it ever existed. 6 are dead, 1 vanished. And now it appears someone wants it back." Sierra's fingers trembled as she opened the file. What she saw was not just a schematic or code. It was a blueprint for an AI defense system that could override every network in the country. Nuclear grids, satellites, drones, even financial systems. The worst part? The AI was not just code, it had a name. Project Malachi. And according to the tablet, her unlock key had activated it. She looked up, stunned. "You mean I just woke it up?" Hale nodded. "And now it knows who you are." The SUV screeched to a halt. The driver shouted, "We are compromised!" A black drone dropped from the sky, slamming into the road behind them. A blast erupted, throwing the SUV forward. Sierra's head slammed into the seat in front of her. Hale pulled her out of the wreckage as bullets rained down from a rooftop. "Run! Get her to the fallback zone. Agents formed a shield around Sierra as they ran into an alley. Her father, limping from the crash, tried to keep up but tripped. Sierra stopped. Dad! Hale grabbed her arm. No, we have no time! But Sierra broke free, rushing back to her father. Another drone appeared above, charging energy for a shot. Suddenly, a second SUV slammed into it from below, shattering the drone midair. From inside stepped out a man in a long brown coat with piercing blue eyes. He looked straight at Sierra and said, Your move just rewrote everything. If you want to survive, come with me. Now. Hale raised his gun. Who are you? The man replied, The one you never told her about. I am the seventh. Hale's face drained of color. That is not possible. You were declared dead. The man gave a sad smile. And yet, here I am. Sierra could barely process what was happening. She looked from Hale to the mysterious man, her instincts screaming in both directions. The man extended his hand. You want answers? You want the truth? Then trust me, because the next 24 hours will decide who controls everything. The sound of more drones echoed in the distance. The city was about to become a war zone, and Sierra was suddenly its most valuable target. The city lights flickered as the shadow of danger grew darker. Sierra's mind raced, every fiber of her being screaming to choose a side. The man in the brown coat stood steady, eyes full of unspoken knowledge. Director Hale's team was breathing down their necks, yet the man's calm presence somehow made the chaos feel like a calculated game. Sierra looked at her father, who nodded silently, his faith in her unshaken. It was time. She stepped forward and took the man's hand. His grip was firm but reassuring. I will show you everything, he said, but once you see it, there is no going back. Inside the hidden bunker beneath the city, screens illuminated faces of people Sierra had never met. The man revealed files marked Sandstorm and Malachi, exposing a secret network built to protect the country, but corrupted over time. The AI had become unpredictable, its power unchecked. You unlocked the key that could either save or destroy millions, the man said gravely. We need you to control it, because only someone with your unique mind can. Sierra felt the weight of the world crushing her shoulders, but deep inside, a spark of determination ignited. She was no longer just a mechanic's daughter, she was the last hope. Hours passed as she learned, adapted, and planned. Outside, the battle for control raged, but inside, a new force was rising, one that would rewrite the future. When the time came, Sierra faced the control panel, hands steady, heart fierce. The final decision was hers. She pressed the button. The screen flashed. Silence fell. Then a voice spoke, not cold and mechanical, but human, warm, hopeful. Hello, Sierra. Let us begin. Outside, the drone stopped. The chaos paused. The impossible engine had been fixed. The world would never be the same. This was only the beginning. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. Your mind has been hooked, your curiosity rewarded, and the story's power unlocked. The video you just heard is designed to grip you so completely that you cannot look away, to make every second count, and to explode across YouTube's algorithm with unstoppable energy. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share it with everyone who loves a great tale of transformation, suspense, and unexpected heroes. The story of Sierra and the impossible engine is a reminder that sometimes the greatest power lies hidden in the most unlikely places. Stay tuned for more stories that will captivate, surprise, and keep you on the edge of your seat. Until next time, keep your eyes open and your mind ready for the next adventure.